Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick. Today, typically what I do when I do like new release videos is I talk about albums that are coming out just for that week. But a couple times a year I like to kind of look forward. Today I'm going to be looking at albums coming out over the next couple of months. I think I got about 18 albums to go over today. There's a bunch of links down below. You got links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music playlist that I put together every week, and the Patreon page. So make sure you check all that out. Like always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down below, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. And all these should be available online. I put links down below in the comment section for all of them. Make sure you drop a comment down there also. Tell me what albums you're looking forward to. I mean, there's a lot of stuff coming out over the next several months. And actually, a lot of stuff doesn't even have release dates yet. But I'm sure there's even more stuff that's going to get announced over the next several weeks. But let me know what you guys are looking forward to. So I'm going to start in just a couple of weeks here on March 14th. There's actually quite a few albums coming out that day. The first one I got is Four Non Blondes, Bigger, Better, Faster, More. So this came out back in 1992. Of course, it was their debut and only studio album. It's going to be on red vinyl. It's going to run you about $48. So I know this album is known for, and Four Non Blondes is known as one of those 90s one-hit wonder bands. The single What's Up was absolutely massive and still gets played pretty regularly today. But this album wasn't reissued with the original album artwork until the 25th anniversary release in 2017. And then ended up getting reissued in 2023, and that's when I picked up a copy of it. But Linda Perry would go on to be producer. She would produce a lot of great albums over the last 35 plus years. And that's one of those albums where I think it's better than the one track that it's known for. So it's if you're looking forward to a copy of it, that they'll be coming up. We also got a reissue of Britny Fox's debut studio album from 1988. So this is music on vinyl release. It's going to be on white vinyl. It's going to be limited to 750 copies, which I think is just absolutely ridiculous. I think 1,000 to 1,500 should be the bare minimum for one of these. But this one's going to run you about $38. So this wasn't reissued. From 1988, this was never reissued until earlier this year. Actually, it might have been late 2024 when that came out. But regardless, it was a limited pressing. They only pressed 1,000 copies of it. You can get a copy off of Discogs for, $50 to $70. So there's not a big price difference between that and this one. But, this is an album that a lot of people have been asking for to get reissued for a really long time. And this album is interesting because I've always thought this was one of the catchier glam rock albums of the later part of the 80s. I always kind of compared them to Cinderella in a lot of ways, even though Cinderella was a much bigger band. But there's a lot of other better, shouldn't say better, there's a lot of other bands in the later part of the 80s that were doing glam rock that I think that this album is actually better than a lot of that stuff that got really big, got really popular. But for one reason or another, they were just never really able to break into the mainstream. Also on March 14th, you get the reissue of the See You on the Other Side box set from Ozzy Osbourne coming out. So when this box was originally released in 2019, it had all of his studio albums up until then, or all of his solo studio albums up until then. It ran you about $500. This one's going to be a little bit more. It's going to be $600, but this is going to be on black vinyl compared to the original box set was on colored vinyl. But if you go on Discogs or on eBay, I mean, that box set is selling for between $2,000 and $3,000. So it's going for a lot. There's a lot of people that missed out on this box set, including me. I had to pay about double what the original price was to get a copy of it a couple years back. But a lot of those albums were in high demand. A lot of them had never been reissued since their original release. But this release is limited to 2,000 copies. It's got full-size posters that come with it for every album that's included. So the only really big difference between this box set and the first version is this box set comes with his last two albums. So you got Ordinary Man in there. You've also got Patient Number 9. I already have copies of those. I've already got copies of all the albums from the first box set. But I kind of have gone back and forth on this because I do have a copy that's pre-ordered. But I have it pre-ordered knowing that I'm not going to keep this box set. So I've gone back and forth on whether or not I'm even going to cancel my pre-order. I got a couple of weeks to figure out what I want to do, but I know a lot of people are looking forward to that. It's already sold out on Ozzy's website. It's already sold out on Amazon also. So it's going to be a hard one to get if you missed out on pre-ordering it. So this next one's interesting because it's a super deluxe box set of probably one of the most hated albums of the last couple of years. But this is Roger Waters' The Dark Side of the Moon Redux. So he did this for the 50th anniversary of Dark Side of the Moon in 2023. He did this Dark Side of the Moon Redux, which is an updated version of The Dark Side of the Moon. A lot of people hated it. I mean, I think it was widely panned by almost everyone out there. I mean, I didn't think it was that bad. I did a whole video about how I didn't think it was a terrible release. I mean, it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad either. My issue with the way he did it was a lot like the spoken word parts through the album. I don't think worked, and it probably would have been a better album had he just not done that. But this Super Deluxe box set's gonna be limited to 3,000 copies. This thing's gonna run you $230 online. So what you're getting in this box set is the original Redux album on 2 LPs. There's live versions that he recorded on October 8th and 9th, 2023 in London on a 3rd LP. And then you've also got 4 10-inch albums or 4 10-inch singles on here with just 4 tracks. I know there's Breathe on there. I think the other one is Money. Us and Them, I think, is another one. But anyway, there's 4 singles on here, 4 10-inch singles, with B-side is just like artwork on it. So you're not really getting a whole lot in here. You're basically going to pay $230 for just the live material. But it does come with a 40-page booklet. It does come with a certificate of authenticity that's signed by Roger Waters. That's the one thing with the Ozzy Osbourne box set also, I guess I should have added, is the See You on the Other Side version 2.0 comes with the same autograph signature from Ozzy. So that's an added thing for that. For the Dark Side of the Moon Redux, though, this is one of those things where this is probably not going to be a big seller. I don't see, like I said, I think there's 3,000 copies that's going to be available. I can see these selling a few copies, but I don't think this is going to be a big mover. There's also a couple of classic 90s albums getting reissued on March 14th. The first one was Tuesday Night Music Club by Sheryl Crow. This came out back in 1993. It was her debut studio album. It's going to be on blue vinyl. It's going to run you about $48. So this album has been reissued multiple times over the last few years. This looks like it's actually the reissue of the 2018 RSD version, which if you go on Discogs, I mean, that album sells for like $75 if you want that version of it. Like I said, I think there's been at least 2 or 3 reissues since then. So this is an album that you can easily get. I mean, it is available if you look around for it. But in my opinion, it's one of the best debut albums of the early part of the 90s. I mean, it hit number 3 on the Billboard 200. It sold like over 13 million copies. It was just a huge album. I still think it's probably the best thing that she ever released. So I was getting reissued. Then you've also got A Boy Named Goo getting reissued by Goo Goo Dolls. Came out in 1995. It was their 5th studio album. There's going to be black versions of this. There's also a blue version. I think the blue version is just through the Goo Goo Dolls website. It's 2 LP release. It's going to run you about $38. This was the album that really put Goo Goo Dolls on the map. It also marked the completion of this transition from this. If you go back and listen to their first couple of albums, they're very much like late 80s, early 90s punk albums. And they made this transition slowly across the last couple of albums until they got to A Boy Named Goo, where it was like more of a straightforward post-grunge alternative rock album. Of course, Name was the huge track off of this album. The funny thing is about this, and something that I don't think a lot of people remember, is there was this big controversy when this album came out because there were people that made complaints because they thought the boy on the cover looked like he was covered in blood. People complained that Walmart was selling it. Walmart actually pulled this off of their shelves. I don't know if they ever actually went back to even, go back to selling it. But it's not blood on the boy. I think that they used blackberry juice is what was pulled. It's supposed to be like, he's covered in goo, is basically what the picture or the artwork is supposed to be. This album was never available on vinyl until 2015. If you go online, if you go on Discogs, if you go on eBay, it's like $100 to $200. This is one it's been needed to get reissued for a long time, I think. So jumping ahead a week to March 21st, you've got this Rush 50 box set coming out. So there's a couple of different versions of this coming out. There's a deluxe box set that's going to run you about $250. Then there's a super deluxe box set that's going to run you about $375. So this is a compilation of 50 tracks from across Rush's career. It's going to include songs from every one of Rush's albums. So what you're getting in this box set. So I'm going to start with the deluxe version. So it's a 7 LP deluxe box set. It includes, so there's 7 additional unreleased tracks on here, which 5 of those are live tracks. It has a 104-page book of artwork and photographs. And then this super deluxe box set. So you're going to pay an extra $125 for the super deluxe version. It comes with the same 7 LPs. It also includes 4 CDs of all that same material. It has the same book that's included. And it also comes with, there's 20 lithographs that it's included also. And then there's a 100-page graphic novel that's included. So that's a big difference between that deluxe box set and the super deluxe box set. This is also going to be available as a straightforward CD box set also. I've been watching this channel for a while. I'm not a huge Rush fan, but, they're one of those bands that, a compilation, if there was just like a maybe a smaller compilation to go along with this, I might grab that to have some of those songs, but I don't think I need a big box set. But that is coming out. Then also on March 21st, you got the new album from Selena Gomez coming out. This is I Said I Love You First. So this is a collaborative album between Selena Gomez and her boyfriend, Benny Blanco. It's going to be on red vinyl. It's going to run you about $33. So they've been together for about 2 years now. And this album was put together basically off of their comfort of working together creatively. To be honest, I don't think I've ever actually sat down and listened to one of her albums all the way through. I know all of them have been #1 albums so far. I'm sure this one's going to sell pretty well. But I'm always looking for stuff outside of my normal music to listen to. So it's one I'll at least stream and check out when it comes out. And then on March 28th, you've got the Fleetwood Mac box set coming out. So this is Fleetwood Mac 1975 to 1987. It's a new 6 LP box set. It's going to run about $142. It's going to be all on clear vinyl. This is being released to celebrate the most commercially successful period from the band. So the albums you've got on here, you've got their self-titled album from 75. You've got Rumors from 77. You've got Tusk, Mirage, and Tango in the Night in here. And then the 6th LP is just a 12-inch single that has both Silver Springs and Go Your Own Way on it. I love these albums from Fleetwood Mac. I find it really interesting that they are reissuing a box set of some of the most pressed albums over the last 40 years. It does come housed in a nice deluxe slipcase. You're getting the 5 albums, the 5 studio albums for about $28-$29 each. So it's about the going rate, I guess, for those albums. So if you're a Fleetwood Mac fan and you don't have these albums for some reason, the box set will be available on the 28th. You've also got the second of 3 releases from the Sex Pistols coming out on the 28th. So this is Live in the USA, 1978. So this is being released to celebrate that tour from the band. This was basically the last days of the original period of the Sex Pistols. So on February 28th, you had, I think it was the Atlanta show. Yeah, the Atlanta show was released on February 28th. It was on red vinyl. And then this is going to be the Dallas show, which was recorded on January 10th, 1978. It's going to be available on white vinyl. This is one of those albums where, you can get the full 3 CD box set for the same price you can get one of these albums for. So, I probably will wait till August 25th and just get the 3 CD box set then. And then also on March 28th, you've got what I think is one of the most significant rap albums of the 90s getting reissued. This is Snoop Doggy Dogg, Doggy Style. Came out in 1993. It was his debut studio album. 2 LP release. It's going to be on clear vinyl. It's going to run about $35. So this is a reissue of the 30th anniversary release from 2023. And the big difference between this and every other version of this album is this is cut at 45 RPM. And for the first time since the original pressing in 1993, this is the version that includes G's Up, Hoes Down, which I don't know the story behind why it was cut, but every reissue since then until 2023 was missing that one track. So I have a copy of this album, but it's an older, a 2015 or 2013 pressing of it. I don't have the 30th anniversary release with the original track listing on there. So that is one I will grab when that gets released. And then moving up to April 4th, you've got 7 to Mary 3 American Standard getting reissued. Came out back in 1995. It was also their debut studio album. So this is music on vinyl release. It's going to be on black vinyl. It's going to run you about $38. So this is coming off, Music on Vinyl is releasing this off the back of the limited version that they released in January, which is on clear and black vinyl. It was limited to 1,000 copies. It was really hard to find. I actually pre-ordered this from, it was somewhere in Europe, I think I pre-ordered that limited version from. So this is going to be a standard black version. It should be more widely available. Of course, this album is known for, there's 2 tracks on here. Cumbersome and River's Edge were the 2 big singles off this one. But this is one of those albums where, kind of going back and listening to this, I haven't listened to this album in probably 10 years when I got a copy of it. It was reissued in 2019 for Record Store Day, and it's been reissued a couple times since then, but all those Record Store Day pressings and the 2 pressings since then, sell for way more than I was willing to pay for this album. So, it was one of those albums where once I finally went back and listened to it, I realized how good the album really was, and I'm glad to have a copy of it. Another reissue that's coming out on April 4th is something that I have been calling to get reissued for years, and lots of other people have been also. This is a self-titled debut album from Tracy Chapman, released in 1988. So there's a couple of versions of this. There's a black version. There's an orange version, which is the indie exclusive here in the U.S. And then there's a store exclusive that I think is just in Europe That's going to be on red vinyl. It's going to run you about $23. This is a huge album. Of course, known for Fast Car. She would go on to win 3 Grammys, including Best New Artist off the album. It would hit #1 here in the US. It'd sell over 20 million copies worldwide. This is an album that had not been reissued officially since 1988. There was a pressing that came out last year, which I'm not sure if it is an official pressing or not. I don't believe it's an official pressing because it was not put out through her site. It was not put out through the label. It was pressed in Argentina. I understand, from what I read, that the pressing in Argentina was part of this newspaper series that they do down there. It does not sound great. Do not buy that copy. I don't believe, even if it is technically an official pressing, I don't think it wasn't official through Tracy Chapman. It was nothing she posted online. I understand that earlier last year she posted on social media saying that it was going to get reissued. So when people saw this Argentina pressing, they thought that was it. And everyone ran out and bought a copy of it. The reviews are not good for it. I'm interested to see how this one compares to my original pressing. I picked up original pressing of this maybe a year or two back. I found a copy of it for like $35 in one of my local record stores. So, I'm interested to see how this new one sounds. But regardless, I think this reissue is going to be the version to have, especially for $23. I think it's a good price. They probably easily could have charged $10 more and sold just as many copies of it. So moving up to April 11th, which happens to be the day before Record Store Day, Smashing Pumpkins is reissuing Siamese Dream. It's going to run you about $38. The significance of this release is that it has not been officially released since 1994 with the original artwork on here. So it was their second studio album, was released in 1993. There's a black version of this. There's also a red version. I pre-ordered the red version through my local record store. It's a 2 LP release. It's going to run you about $38. There have been other reissues of this over the years. So especially like over the last couple of years, there was a big reissue of it. And a lot of people have bought a copy of it. But my main issue has been, since 2011 when it was first reissued, it's been reissued every time with this alternate artwork on there. And it's one that I've been waiting to get reissued with original artwork for a long time now. I've long considered this one of the best and one of the most influential albums of the early part of the 90s. It was something that really cemented them as one of the biggest and best bands of the 90s. And then moving up to April 25th, you got the third and final release coming out from the Sex Pistols. So Live in USA, 1978, it's going to be the same price. It's going to run you about $30. This is also the day that the 3 CD box set is going to be coming out. And I think when I saw it online, it was like $31 or $32. So it's about the same price you're going to pay for one release. So this is the January 14, 1978 show at the Winterland Ballroom in San Francisco. Like I said, having these 3 shows together, I think is really cool because even someone that is not a big Sex Pistols fan, I understand the significance of the band and the significance of that 1978 tour. And what you're listening to is basically the band right before they imploded. So it's a cool release to go back through. It's definitely one I'm going to grab. I don't think I'm going to get the vinyl versions, even though you can get the vinyl versions, I think for $110 in like a big slip case all together as one. But I'll probably will just grab the CD release when it comes out. And then moving up to May 9th, you've got Eric Clapton Unplugged getting reissued. So this came out back in 1992. It's the greatest selling live album of all time. But so this is a little different than other releases of this. So this is a 3 LP enhanced edition. It's going to run you about $60. So this is an extended, remixed, and remastered version of Unplugged. So what this is you're getting the full Unplugged performance, which I think there's a couple of songs that have been left off the Unplugged album for the last couple of decades. Those are going to be on there. And then before he went out and had that performance, he did an interview where he talked about all the songs, or a lot of the songs that he was going to perform, and talked about the creation of those songs and the influence in making those songs. And those interviews are woven through the performance, so they're coupled together with those songs. Which, if you love this album, listening to it straight through, that might kind of throw you off a little bit. So go into listening to this album knowing that's kind of broken up a little bit. I'm someone I've never been a big Eric Clapton fan. Actually, I've kind of hated on Eric Clapton a lot over the last couple of decades, but I can't argue the brilliance of this Unplugged performance. Also on May 9th, you got the new album Counting Crows coming out. This is Butter Miracle, The Complete Suites. So this is their 8th studio album. There's a couple of different versions of this. There's a black version, and then there is this sweet tart version, which looks like it's like a purple, blue, and pink kind of blended together. It's going to run you about $32. The band released part 1 of this as an EP in 2021. The single Elevator Boots did pretty well, hit number 2 on the adult alternative airplay Billboard charts. So on this album, you're getting the 4 tracks from part 1, along with these 5 new additional tracks. I listened to this a couple times after it came out. I decided not to buy a copy of it on vinyl when part 1 came out, because I figured eventually they would release it with a part 2 and have this like full album. So I'll just grab a copy of that when it comes out. And then the last one I got on my list, moving forward to May 16th, you've got the new album from Youth Fountain, Stuck in My Own Hell. So it's going to run you about $31. So it's kind of cool. So Youth Fountain, they're a pop punk duo. I guess it's mainly like a solo project, but they're from Canada. They started out in 2017. They released 3 studio albums, which their last album, Together and Lonesome, was one of my favorite albums of 2023. So they released 3 studio albums, which if you're unfamiliar with Youth Fountain, definitely go back and check those out. And then they've also released 3 acoustic EPs. The Together and Lonesome acoustic EP they just released earlier this year. So what this is a it's not a compilation. I guess it is a compilation though, but it's those 3 acoustic EPs all put together in one album. And when the EPs were released individually previously, they were only digital releases. So this is the first time they've ever been released on a physical media, whether it's vinyl or CD. I'm not sure if they're going to do a CD release on this. I know there's definitely a vinyl version of it though. $31, it's one I'm definitely going to grab. Well, that's all I got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. Make sure you drop me a comment down below and let me know what you guys are looking forward to. Lots of great stuff coming out over the next couple of months. I've got at least 6 or 7 of these already on pre-order. I'm sure I'll probably get more than that. Like I said, I know I've got Ozzy Osbourne on pre-order. I got Goo Goo Dolls on pre-order. I've got Snoop Dogg. I got Tracy Chapman. I've got Smashing Pumpkins. I think there's one other one. I got the Youth Fountain on pre-order also. Lots of really good stuff. Going into the beginning of the year, I didn't really know what to expect because there wasn't a whole lot announced at the beginning of the year or like beginning of January. And it really wasn't until the last few weeks where stuff has really started coming out and getting like firm release dates. Definitely looking forward to a lot of this. I'm sure there's going to be even more stuff pop up, but let me know what you guys are looking forward to. Like always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. That's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.